Hi y'all, it's Annelies, and these are the Soundcore Lyft Q30 over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones, and I've had them for about 2 weeks now. These are my first pair of over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones, and I wanted to tell you my thoughts. So if you're interested, go ahead and keep on watching. If you're a returning viewer to the channel, you would know that I just recently moved to London, England, which is very insane still to say. I'm used to all the British accents, but I'm not used to the idea that I live in England. Like, that's crazy. But I digress. As being a resident of England, something I do a lot is ride the tube, aka like the subway or the train. And something that I have come to realize is that the tube can be rather loud at times. And like, when I say loud, I'm like ear-curdling, screeching loudness. And it's like, I can deal with it sometimes, but most of the time it's just too much. Especially when I have to be on the tube for like an hour and a half because of where I live. Getting into like central London takes like an hour and a half minimum. I wanted to make my tube experience as enjoyable as possible, and when I thought about it, I was like, oh, noise canceling headphones. That would be a great idea. But then I was like, well, obviously your girl knows that AirPods Pro do not work for me. If you're familiar with my struggle, we don't have a great relationship. I tried the Beats Studio Buds, which I have a video coming out on that soon. I filmed it before I left America, and I don't have those anymore, so that might be a little bit of a spoiler to the video, but yeah, so that was out of the question. And then I thought about an over-the-ear headphone option, and obviously the AirPods Max were out of the question because I'm not paying $550 for any sort of headphones, but I also don't have $550 to pay for any sort of headphones. Moving on, searching through the interwebs and through Amazon, I came across these Soundcore Q30's. These are over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones with ANC, and they seemed really interesting, and after watching this video by Tech Commune, he made this video about comparing the Q30's versus the Q20's, and after watching his video, I settled on the Q30's. So if you want to know why I made that decision, go watch his video, because I feel like he makes it really clear why these, in my opinion, were the better option, at least for me in my particular situation. I digress. I went with the Q30's, and I wanted to share with you what I like about them, what I don't like about them, so that way you know, if you're somebody who's like not an audiophile like me, if these are headphones that you should invest in. So let's go ahead and get started with just the comfortability, because like I said, these are my first over-the-ear headphones, and I have a very sensitive noggin. I don't know what it is, but like certain pressures just do not work well, whether it be a really light hat or a headband. My head has never been great about it, so I was a little bit nervous about these. But I have to say that I think the longest I've ever worn these in a row was like 4 hours, not including like a few breaks here and there. I have to say, I have not experienced like the pain I'll get with some just like headbands for my hair with these headphones. I don't know what it is about, maybe like it's a mix of the cushion plus the way it balances on my head. I don't know. There is definitely a little bit of pressure at the top of my head, but otherwise it's not like uncomfortable. It's more of just like there is something resting on my head, and it's these headphones. And luckily they're really lightweight, so I don't have to worry about like a weighted pressure. The ear cups are super plush and super soft, and also like the pleather or whatever is on it is also very soft on like the skin. It feels just comfortable from all angles. They fit width-wise, and when it comes to the length of the headband, I can extend it, but actually, because I guess where like my ears are placed or something, I wear it on the shortest possible setting, and it works great for me. I don't feel any tugging on my ears, and it's just like all around really comfortable. And then if I want to pop them off and hang it around my, I was gonna say wrist, but this is called my neck. If I want to hang it around my neck, I'll kind of extend it a little bit so I feel like I'm not being as like choked and trapped, but otherwise this is also a very comfortable stance. So when it comes to comfortability of these headphones, surprisingly, I'm gonna have to give them a 5 out of 5. Even if you've got a sensitive head, I feel like you will still enjoy these. They're not too heavy, everything that touches you is pretty soft, and there's a lot of variables when it comes to like width or like height, so I feel like it would fit anybody's head. When it comes to the size of these headphones and the shape of these headphones, I have to say that I am pretty impressed that they are over-the-ear headphones with as small of a form factor as there is. So when I saw how like pretty low profile these were for being over-the-ear headphones, I was pretty impressed. I'm not sure about why the design is the way it is, that like the band doesn't touch your head when it comes more towards your ears and like your eye line. That is something that I feel like makes it look a little bit bulkier, but otherwise it's pretty thin. I have like a coat that I was wearing these and like had my hoodie over, and I didn't feel like I was like stretching out the hoodie, if that makes sense. I like the shape of them. They do kind of like collapse down a little bit, and it more so makes them like flatter versus like saving a ton of space. It does come with this really nice carrying case, which is like plastic, like reinforced plastic it feels like, or fabric, and the headphones fold and fit nicely in here, which is definitely nice for travel. The only thing is like I said, it's not like saving a ton of space. It's still kind of thick, but at least it's like flattened out. I don't know how to explain it, but like this fits in every bag that I bring with me typically, whether it be my small like everyday backpack or my big North Face backpack that I always take with me. It's a pretty small form factor, so if I do bring these headphones with me, I do always make sure to have this case because I wouldn't feel safe just plopping them in a bag. The folded version is definitely more compact than the like open version like this. They're not crazy big, but they're also like not gonna fold away into nothing, so you have to be aware of that when you're traveling with them, that you have to put something away at some point. So I would say on like size, compactability, travel, what would the word be for that? Portability. On portability, I'm gonna be a little bit of a stickler, and I'm gonna give them a 4.5 out of 5 because I feel like they could just be a little bit smaller, but also like it's the nature of the headphone, so I can't be like too hard on them. Pretty decently portable for over-the-ear headphones. As far as the style of them goes, I really like them. Now the reason why I went with the black, because if y'all are familiar with me, you know I like the brighter color choices. There were two other color options, a like darker, deeper blue, kind of like this, the shirt I'm wearing right now, and then there's also a really pretty baby pink. But for Amazon UK, which is like the place that you get these headphones, whether it be UK or US, there's actually a £15 voucher for the black ones. But if you were to get the blue or the pink, they're full price. So I was like, I don't care that much about the color, so I'd rather say £15. And when it comes to the price is £80 or $80 US. Same price in either country, which is not super great because the conversion does make the pounds one a little bit more expensive. So if you're buying them in the UK, you are going to be paying more, but I digress. That's why I went with the black ones. And I do really like the Soundcore logo on the side. It's kind of like this reflective rose gold, pretty minimalistic. That's the only branding you see. And then there's also active noise canceling written on the sides, but otherwise pretty like stylish look. I like how everything is more round. The buttons are really round, and the buttons are also very distinct too. So like on the left hand side, I know is where the power button and the different noise canceling modes button is. I haven't gotten familiar with the buttons on this side, but I know it's volume and stuff and play and pause, which I would just then do on my watch or on my phone. So I typically do not use this side a lot, but otherwise like everything is pretty minimalistic. Everything is pretty simple, sleek. I like the design, so I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I wish there were more colors, and I wish they were all cheaper, Amazon, but I'll let it go. Okay, I've talked about like the physical aspect of this. Let's actually talk about the quality of these headphones. So there's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to these. That is being battery, sound quality, and mic quality. So starting with the battery life. The battery on these is a 40-hour battery, and I have not had these headphones tell me they need a charge yet. I've used them a lot. I don't know honestly if I've used them 40 hours worth, but every time I use them, I use active noise cancellation. So there's that, if that's gonna run the battery more than if you didn't. I believe it's 60 hours when you're just using normal mode, but if you're using active noise cancellation, it's 40 hours, and I have no complaints with the battery life. Absolutely stellar. It charges using USB-C, which is another reason I went with the 30s over the 20s, just for simplicity of charging. That's been really great because I have a USB-C charger for my computer, so I'll just like plug them in for a little bit. Love the battery life on these, 5 out of 5. Moving on to the quality of the microphone, something that I don't use a ton with these headphones because typically when I'm using them on the tube where I don't have service, so I can't talk to people. But there was a time where I hopped off the tube and then called my mom, and I realized it was the first time I was using the microphone on these headphones, and I asked her how I sounded. She said I sounded good. And so you can hear how this microphone sounds. I'm gonna go ahead and insert a voice memo recording using the microphone on these headphones now. So here is the mic test on the Soundcore Life Q30's. Benedict Cumberbatch nearly broke a delicate luggage rack. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Pa 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 ba 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 ba. I'm whispering a little bit. I'm like talking a little bit louder, and I'm talking really loud now. And that is your official audio test. Mic test. And I think that doesn't sound too bad. It's not great, but also like, honestly, what Bluetooth headphone has a good microphone? I don't know, but I think it sounds decent. It's good, it's passable, it's clear, most importantly. And the way that I know that it's clear is that my mother, who will tell you if your microphone is bad, said I sounded fine. No problems at all. So that's a stamp of approval from Veldman, folks. Take that with pride, Anker. So I'll say like 4 out of 5 on the microphone. It's not amazing, but it's also like pretty dang decent. I'm not complaining. And lastly, the most important part is the sound of these headphones. Now, something I like to say in all of my headphone related reviews is that if you are like an audiophile, an audio whiz, this is not the review for you. This is me, an average person who likes technology, who listens to things and likes to listen to things that sound good in podcasts and all that stuff. That is like my perspective on my review. So with that being said, when it comes to the quality of these headphones, I have to say they sound really freaking great. For the price that they are, I'm like extremely impressed with the audio quality. The most recent album that I was listening to is Montero, I believe is the album name, but it's Lil Nas X's new album. And like you could hear all the little details in the songs. Everything was really crisp. The bass felt good, but not like it was gonna blow my eardrums out. Like the sound of these sounds really good when it comes to listening to podcasts. I also hear great detail when it comes to the voices of people and like the intricacies of like talking and like especially when people have maybe a lower voice. And then of course, most importantly on top of all that is the noise canceling. So there are 3 modes on here. You have transparency, active noise canceling, and normal. So just when like all of that is off. The active transparency, I believe it's called, or just transparency mode, whatever they want to call it, that is actually a really cool mode to have, especially for when you're out in public. A pair of headphones like this kind of block you out from the world. So I like having that availability of that mode. I use it very rarely, but when you do, it just sounds like you can really hear the world around you, plus your music pretty clearly. Normal isn't anything special, and then active noise cancellation, I feel like just pumps up the blocking out of sound from the normal mode, because with normal, because of the fact that these are over-the-ear headphones, you are automatically going to lose some outside sound. Like just by having these on my head, things sound muffled. More so sounds like if I put my hands over my ears. But when the active noise cancellation is on, that's where things get turned up a notch into how much actually gets canceled out. So I was listening to music earlier, it was on like half volume and I was typing out some notes and I couldn't hear the keyboard clicks of my keyboard. When I had it on normal, I could faintly hear it. So I don't know how much of a difference was really there. And also that was something that was really close to me. But the biggest thing that I noticed is when I had these on ANC and I had my roommates in my kitchen, which is about 10 feet away from my bedroom door right here, and they had people over. And I had gotten home before I think everybody else. I was editing, I was listening to music, I had these on, and I just decided like, okay, I'm gonna try them out. I don't need to listen to headphones right now, but like I want to try these headphones out. So I put them on ANC and was just like editing, doing my thing, whatever. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go get some carrots from the kitchen. Took them off and I was like, oh my God, there's a party happening in my kitchen. And legitimately, there were 10 people in my kitchen that I had no clue were here, and they were like 10 feet away from me. And soon as I took these off, I heard people. And I was so surprised. So that kind of really sold me on the power of the ANC of these headphones. Definitely makes you feel like you don't live in a house with 6 people anymore. Like stellar ANC quality. Now, the purpose that I got them for was for the tube. How is it on the tube? Okay, so like I'm gonna be totally honest here and say it's a little bit disappointing that it wasn't the perfect solution I had in my head, because I had used them at home and while I was walking and while I was on the bus, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. I love this. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that it's getting colder here in London, if that's even possible, or like the rain, I don't know. But I feel like the tube has been louder than ever. And so the thing that sucks about that is when it gets to its like high-pitched screech moments, I still can't hear my music. I still can't hear my podcast, even with active noise cancellation on. Like it's just all kind of like, it's all just too much. But it still helps with blocking out the sound to where even though I can't hear anything, like my music and my podcast, it still helps muffle the horrible blood-curdling screeches of the tube tracks. So I tend to leave them on and just like whatever I'm listening to muted, because I literally like I can't hear anything. So that's kind of disappointing, is that at times these are good, at times they don't really help, and I don't know if there is an answer or a solution for the horrible tube noises, but when it's not like that awful like nails on chalkboard screeching of the tracks, and it's just like general loudness and like rabble from the people on the tube, these block that out pretty well. Obviously I can still hear it. It's not a perfect noise cancellation, but pretty dang good for only 80 pounds. Well, technically I paid 65, so yeah. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm happier than I was. But like in every other sense of the word, the noise cancellation is amazing. Just the purpose that I bought them for blocking out that like metal on metal screech didn't quite solve that, but it's so much better than wearing like my AirPods or even my Beats Flex with the in-ear tip. Like you'd think that would help it like plug it up or something. It definitely does it. So at the very least, these are helping me prevent hearing loss and hearing damage while riding the tube, even if I'm not listening to any music, to help me get through my hour-and-a-half long journey. But like I can't stress enough how good the ANC is. Like editing, listening to music, walking, being on the bus, like all that is super great. I think it just hits a decibel level that no technology could save me from. Even though the screeching won't go away, I've decided to keep these headphones. That's how much I like them, which is kind of crazy because the one reason I bought them for was to prevent the screeching, but like all the other benefits I get from these and how powerful the ANC is, I've just decided that it's worth it to keep them. I just really like them. I've been really loving editing with these too. I feel like a fancy editor when I have like over-the-ear headphones and I've got like hardwired in and I'm just here being a professional YouTuber and all those things. It makes me feel fancy. I think that covers everything for the Q30's. So just as a quick recap, I like the comfort of them. They're very comfortable. Squishy ear pads, really soft. I like also the big labeling of the L and the R for left and right. That's not relating to comfort, but I really enjoy it. The headband is pretty comfortable. The metal and like the quality of everything, like when these headphones are down, like the clicky into place, I don't know if I'm making sense here, but like when you're extending the headband, all of that like feels really secure. Everything feels really in place. Wearing them is comfortable, especially for extended periods of time. Design wise, I think they're nice, sleek, minimalistic. Don't mind the look. I would just like more color. And microphone, not too dang shabby for some Bluetooth headphones. The battery life is spectacular. Although the ANC on these headphones, and I don't know if any ANC is strong enough to cancel out the sound of like the screeching of the metal tracks on the underground here in London, it excels with flying colors, if that's even a turn of phrase, in every other sound category. So like I love having a pair of ANC headphones back in my life, because even though the AirPods are very uncomfortable, I've said this a million times, I love the ANC on them. It's absolutely spectacular. Those are just really uncomfortable. At least I can wear these for more than like 20 minutes without my ears feeling like they want to fall off. So A+ in my book. And I would have to say, if you are thinking about getting the Q30's, I absolutely recommend them. You can get them on Amazon using the links in my description. Those are going to be affiliate links, so I get like a small percentage of the sale if you use my links versus just going and searching it on Amazon, but it doesn't cost you a penny to use my links. So if you want to get these headphones, I'd really appreciate it if you use my links, but like do as you please. But yeah, I absolutely love them. Yeah, that is it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions about these headphones that you would like me to answer in the comments, drop them down in the comments. I check my comments all the time, so I'd love to answer any questions that you have for me. And lastly, I just want to take a brief moment to thank all of my Patreon supporters. These are all my lovely Mabel and Ethel tiers, which are the highest tiers on my Patreon. So thank you to these lovely people. On my Patreon, I post behind the scenes updates about my YouTube channel. I ask for y'all's feedback. Sometimes I post exclusive videos. So if any of that sounds interesting to you and you want to help monetarily support me and this channel and making videos like doing reviews and just all sorts of stuff, please check out my Patreon. It is patreon.com/Annelies. Still don't know how I got that username. The link for that is in the description down below as always. And thank you so much again to all of my patrons of past, present, and future, and especially to all my top tier patrons. Well, y'all, that is it for me. Stay beautiful, have a marvelous day, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye!